Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh Elohayna, Yahweh Echad, Wa'habda Af Yahweh Elohayaka, Bakal Lababka, Wabakal Napaska, Wabakal Ma'atka. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one, and you shall love Yahweh your power with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Today we going over the actually second day Aliyah for Genesis, um, Baraahshyath or Bereshit, and it's going to be from Genesis chapter 2, verse 4, all the way up to Genesis chapter 2, verse 19. So just a few verses, 16 to be exact. Okay. So we're going to get started from Genesis chapter 2. And we're going to start from verse 4. And once again, it's very important. And I said this in the previous reading, on the first day Aliyah of Genesis chapter 1 through Genesis 2, 3. It's very important that you understand Genesis, because Genesis lays the foundation for the whole rest of the Bible. So if you don't really have a clear understanding of Genesis, then you won't really understand the rest of the Bible. As far as the purpose of everything, Genesis shows you why and when, for pretty much everything that we review and read in the whole Bible. Okay, so we're going to go into Genesis chapter. We're going to go into Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to start with verse 4, and I'm going to be jumping back and forth between the Chumash and the what they call the King James, because the Chumash has the Hebrew and the King James has the English, and we're reading from the English King James or the Authorized Translation. But some of the points that need to be expressed have to come out from the Chumash, from the Hebrew. So chapter 2, and we're going to start from verse 4. Okay, go ahead.
These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth.
Okay, so it says the generations of the heavens and the earth. So when you look at generation, you're dealing with a word like yalad in the Hebrew. That word ladwath is generations, which deals with oftentimes offsprings and reproduction and things of that nature. Everything the Most High created is meant to reproduce or to bring some sort of life, some sort of way. So right now we're dealing with Hashemayim and Hadatazah. Hashemayim, the universe itself, the waters, they keep expanding. They don't stop expanding. And the earth itself is supposed to bring forth perpetual life from the waters, from the ground, from the sky. Okay, things of that nature. Go ahead.
When they were created, in the day that Yahweh Elohim made the earth and the heavens.
So going from, it's basically recounting Genesis chapter 1, verses 1, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, 5, and 6. So it's saying these are the generations of what was happening, a little bit more specific details about what happened in creation. So this is our home that the Most High is making. This is our home for us to live in. Not only us, but all of the sons of Adam. But out of all the sons of Adam, he only chose the children of Yasharallah. All right, go ahead.
And every plant of the field before it was in the earth.
So the plants, the trees of the field before they were in the earth. All right. So now we're going back to we're going back to the second day, okay? Because if I'm not mistaken, it was the second day that the Most High went and told everything um, to be fruitful and multiply on that second day that he made the earth and made the trees and so on and so forth. I'm sorry, the second day, um, when he actually had the earth and the waters and the elements, and then it was actually the third day. So now we're gonna get like a expanded understanding of what happened on the what happened that third day. Go ahead.
And every herb of the field before it grew.
So before the Most High made these things, he's going to tell us what was happening with the atmosphere. Go ahead.
For Yahweh Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth.
So there was nothing growing yet, and there was no rain. So this is like toward the end of the second day, and then actually going into the end of the second day. But going into the third day, um, where the Most High just gathered the waters together. All right, and then he gathered the earth together in one place, which is called Pangea. Right now, in Genesis, we're reading the earth was still big one landmass. It was one landmass. It wasn't a whole bunch of continents. It was one mass of land all together. It's not until the time of Nimrod and when we get into the time of Peleg, when we get into the time of Eber, that we see the earth being divided into continents. But at this point of the creation, the earth is just one solid mass. Of course, there's rivers, lakes, and streams on it, but it's one solid mass. All right, go ahead.
And there was not a man to till the ground.
So he didn't make the trees yet. He didn't make rain come down from the sky, and he didn't create any. He didn't create any man yet. I call your verses.
Verse 6. But there went up
Genesis 2:6.
But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground.
So the Most High caused the vapors to come up from the ground because he had the waters, and he has what they call aquifers, underground water reserves and underground rivers and springs under the ground, and they would go up from the earth through the earth up into the atmosphere. And also, so it's going up. So we know now clouds in the sky, but it's all one big rotation. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground.
So now Yahweh is forming man from the dust of the ground. So Yahweh is bringing his creation of these beast creatures that he made, which were men. Now he's taking the lowest form of them. He's going from the low form of man's creation, and he's going to take and create this and create a higher level being. Go ahead.
And breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
So this is when Adam was given the laws and the commandments. This is when he was given the way that Yahweh wanted the earth to be ran, specific details. All right, go ahead.
And man became a living soul.
So now, before that, man was just kind of like a brute. Okay, so now man is a napash, a chayah. Man is a soul. He's actually now this soul that man is created becomes when Yahweh breathes into him. Yahweh shows man or Adam the way to be like Hamashiach. He gives him a perfect path to walk on because Yahweh Shai is the breath of life. So Yahweh Shai the Messiah is the breath of life. So Yahweh breathed into Adam the essence of how to be perfect. That's the breath of life. That goes into what to do, how to be perfect, how to do everything to please the Most High, how to please Yahweh. So he became a Napash. Now this Napash that he has, this is what's supposed to be used to love Yahweh. Okay, this is supposed to be used to love Yahweh and to serve him. All right, go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed.
So he planted a garden east. So this is a pleasant place, okay, by Eden. So Eden is a pleasant place, but there's a garden. There's a Gan in the eastern part of Eden. Okay, so remember, everything is all one mass. So if you put all that one mass together, Eden will be on the eastern part of the mass, which we know that Eden, the Garden of Eden, is Jerusalem. So Yahweh put man into Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And out of the ground it made Yahweh Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food.
Okay, and now we have the Most High making, well, now it's kind of backtracking, okay, into Genesis, into Genesis chapter 1, verses 11 through 13. Because on the third day, okay, he made the trees. But now on the fifth day, okay, on the fifth day, we have on the fifth day, the Most High made all these creatures. Right then on the sixth day, the Most High said, "Let us make man in our image." All right. So now when he made man in his image, now we see additional things being put into the garden for this man. This is the Most High's pleasant place now, the Garden of Eden. Go ahead.
The tree of life also in the midst of the garden.
So now in this tree, now remember when we read yesterday, we didn't read nothing about no tree of life. We just read that he made the trees and all of that. So now the Most High puts this special place in the Garden of Eden, and in the midst of what?
In the midst of the garden.
Okay, go ahead.
And the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
So in the midst of the garden, read that part again where it says the midst of the garden.
In the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good.
Okay, give me the whole thought for the midst of the garden.
The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of...
Okay, start from the top of the verse.
And out of the ground made Yahweh Elohim to grow every...
What verse you in?
Genesis chapter 2, verse 9.
Okay, read.
That is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
So the knowledge of good and bad. Now remember, this knowledge of good and bad is a knowledge that's given, that it serves two purposes in the universe. One is to control people, okay, and two is to do things that Yahweh does not like. That's what we get from the knowledge of evil. The knowledge of good shows you how to love and be righteous toward people and be in perfect balance. The knowledge of evil shows you how to control people, manipulate wickedly with witchcraft and mind control and words to make them do something that you want them to do that they might not otherwise do. And the other purpose is to serve Hashatan, to serve the negative forces of the universe, all right, to serve against the Most High, against Yahweh. So this is what the knowledge of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil will do. Okay, all right, go ahead.
And a river went out of Eden.
So a river went out of this garden that's in Eden. Go ahead.
To water the garden.
Okay, so a river went out to water the garden. Go ahead.
And from thence it was parted and became into four heads.
So the river went out. Now this river that went out from Eden is the Jordan River. So this is the Jordan River. That's the main river. Because we see 5 rivers mentioned here, but only 4 are given a name. The 5 that are mentioned here, okay, are the other rivers plus the Jordan River. And you can go into Ecclesiasticus that actually mentions these 5 rivers by name, including the Jordan. All right, go ahead.
The name of the first is Pison.
Mm-hmm.
That is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah.
Now, Havilah, when you go into Genesis 25, when it talks about Ishmael, Havilah was opposite to the land of Egypt. So Havilah is kind of like the Arabian Peninsula area. Okay. So that river is what we call now the Reed Sea, that people mistakenly call the Red Sea, but it's supposed to be called the Reed Sea. So the Reed Sea is actually the Paisan River, all right? Payashwan, the Payashwan River is the same as what we call the Red Sea today because it goes around, you understand, the Arabian Peninsula, which is where Havilah is, on the opposite side of Egypt. You can go into Genesis, I believe, chapter 25. Let me go real quick. Um, chapter 25, verse, no, maybe, I think it's maybe 24, um, 18. Let me go real quick. So you can see it for yourself. 5, actually, maybe 28, 18. Yeah, Genesis 25, 18. And they dwelt in Havilah unto Shur, which is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria. All right, so it's before Egypt as you go toward Assyria. Okay, so that's getting into once again the Arabian Peninsula area. Okay, that's where Havilah is. So that's talking about the Sea of Reeds or the Red Sea. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 11, where there is the name of the first is Pison, that is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium and the onyx stone, and the name of the second river is Gihon.
So the name of the second river is Gihon. Go ahead.
The same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia.
Okay. So Gihon encircles Aratazak Kawash, or Gihon encircles the land of the land of Cush. Okay. So as Gihon encircles the land of Cush, we know that Cush is Nimrod's territory, the father of the ancient cities of Babylon, of Akkad, of Erech. All right, these ancient cities are over by the Shinar Plain, from on the eastern side of the by the Tigris River. We have the Cushite territories, but Nimrod's father was Cush. Cush was actually dwelling south of Egypt, which is modern day Ethiopia, Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea. These are the modern places, part of Sudan. These are the modern places where Cush is. So the river that runs through there is called the Nile River. So the Nile River, when we look in the scriptures, is the Gayachwan or the Gihon. The Gayachwan, the Gihon River, is actually the Nile River, the ancient name of the Nile. All right, go ahead.
And the name of the third river is Hiddekel.
Mm-hmm.
That is it which goes toward the east of Assyria.
So Hiddekel, which is Quad Kal, is actually going to be the Tigris River. Okay, that's going to be the Tigris River, which we know when they say the Tigris and Euphrates River, they kind of run together, but the Tigris River is a little bit further east. All right, a little bit further east, coming up from the Persian Gulf. All right, so that's going to be the Tigris River. So the Hiddekel is going to be what we would call today the Tigris River. All right, so that's where we're going to go into Babel, and we're going to go into Erech. Okay, so that's the Tigris River. Now remember, you have to erase what you see about the earth now. because these divisions we have with all the continents and everything, we didn't have that yet. Everything is one landmass. Everything is one landmass. So the river, so you might not be able to look at these rivers now and say, oh yeah, we can see this, and you might not be able to see it now. When you put everything back together, you can see how the rivers ran, and you can see how Jordan was the main river. All right, go ahead.
And the fourth river.
Call your verse.
Verse 14.
Genesis 2:14.
And the fourth river is Euphrates.
All right, so the fourth river is Euphrates or Parath. So you can even see Euphrates in Parath. El Parates. So Parath. So Euphrates comes from the Hebrew word of Parath. All right. So let's go from the Euphrates River. So those are the four rivers coming off the Jordan River from creation at the Garden of Eden, which is Jerusalem. The Garden of Eden is Jerusalem. The river that watered the main river was the Jordan River, and the four rivers that came off of it was the Red Sea used to be like a river, and then we have the Nile, and then we have the Tigris River, and then we have the Euphrates River. Those are the four major rivers. Nobody was really far east, okay, over toward the Ganges River in India yet. I know some people say that the Ganges River was one of the four rivers, but nobody was further east that far east yet. And these rivers are all kind of localized based on the land masses all being congealed together. All right, go ahead. Call your verse. Chapter and verse.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 15.
Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him into the garden of Eden.
So Adam was created outside the garden of Eden. So Yahweh took Adam and put him into the garden of Adam, the garden of Eden or Idan. All right, go ahead.
To dress it and keep it.
To dress it means to work it. All right, to be a servant to the land, to be a servant to the soil, and to what?
And to keep it.
And to keep it means to guard it, to protect it, to preserve it, to keep it beautiful. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden.
So Yahweh said, of every tree that you see in this garden, of all the things within this beautiful paradise that I'm setting you in, of all the things, Shalom Yokaved, of all these things that I'm showing you and I'm giving you in this garden, you can have everything. Go ahead.
Thou mayest freely eat.
You can eat everything you want to eat. All right. So he says, akalatha akal. So eating, you can really eat. So akalatha akal. So eat, you shall eat. Go ahead.
But of the tree of the knowledge of good.
So this is wa ma'itzah. Okay. Hada'ith of the knowledge of good and evil. The tree that has the knowledge of good and evil. Remember, everything is good so far. Yeah, because he already broke off the darkness. So now we got evening and morning. It was good. Everything is good so far. There's no evil in that particular sphere. The only thing you have as far as that can be negative would be the electrons kind of and the protons being held apart from each other by the neutrons. All right, that's what we have in creation in terms of, once that neutron is moved, or once that electron or that proton gets split, now we're going to have some evil happening, in the world. Okay. But right now we don't have nothing evil. Nothing is with an I. Nothing is right. Okay, go ahead.
And evil, thou shalt not eat of it.
So he said, don't eat from this particular tree. All right. Now, we can call the tree a metaphor for knowledge, because it is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. These are all of the ways that Hashatan existed at this point. He was created. He was a negative being. Okay, go ahead.
For in the day that thou eatest thereof.
In the day. Now remember, First Peter 3:8, a day is 1,000 years. So in the 1,000-year period that Adam eats of this fruit, go ahead.
Thou shalt surely die.
And he died. Adam was 530 years old. Prior to that, Adam was supposed to live forever. He's supposed to live forever. But prior to, him eating that fruit, he would have had eternal life. But then when he ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, his day was cut short. Okay, his day was cut short. All right, go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that the man should be alone.
So Yahweh said it's not good for man to live this life without another being to share his time, to share his space, to share his thoughts. He needs another person to share his time with, all right? To share his thoughts, to share his body with. So Yahweh said it's not good that the man should be. Now remember, we already read that on the what happened on that. Let's go back. Now remember, when we go into Genesis, Genesis chapter 2, and if you read in verse 4, we have creatures being created, which man was among them. And then in Genesis chapter 6, we have a man and another upright man being created, all right, to have dominion over the earth. Okay, from verse 26. Now this was the sixth day. Okay, so now we go into this form, and the woman was created also. So now we go into this form, and the woman isn't created yet, showing you how it's a separate time, other than when the Most High made man and woman, created he them, male and female. Now Adam was taken out from among these men, given a higher level of consciousness and awareness of what is pleasing to the Most High, kind of like an all-righteous king. Most High set him up as a king over all the other creatures on the earth. Read.
I will make him an helpmeet for him.
So when he says, I will make him a help meet, okay? What verse you in?
Verse 18.
When he says, I'm going to make a help meet for him, we have Izar, which means to help, Izar. And then we have Ka Nagadwa. Now, this should actually probably be Nagada or Nagda, because Nagad is like a head of or like a leader. Nagda is gonna be like in front of. So basically, the Most High saying, I'm gonna create a help that's gonna stand before him. Meaning what? When you're not out on a mission, you're standing in front, waiting on Adam. And this is the woman's position. All right. When the woman is not out doing something for Adam, she's waiting for Adam. And she's with Adam. And Adam is directing her on what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. She's a servant or a helper unto Adam. Just like we say the most, we help the Most High. So the woman was created to serve the man, and the man was created to serve the Most High and to have dominion over all of his creation. Now the Hebrew woman, the woman from Jacob's loins, from the daughters of Jacob, she's actually over the Gentile nations and over the Gentile men and women. You see? So she's second in command of the earth. First is going to be the male of the children of Israel. Then second is going to be the females of the children of Israel. And then you have the Gentile man, then the Gentile woman. So the Israelite woman is over the Gentile man, so you can understand. Because she's directly under this king that Yahweh has created. So she's like Adam's queen, but her job is to be at the beckoning of Adam. She don't go out. She wasn't going out dealing with all these other men. She was at Adam's call. Whatever Adam wanted, she was supposed to what? To Izar, to help him. Okay, read.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 19. And out of the ground Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field.
So now it's going back into what happened on the fifth day. He made every beast of the field. Go ahead.
And every fowl of the air.
And every fowl of the air. Go ahead.
And brought them unto Adam.
So out of the ground that Yahweh had made all these creatures on the fifth day, and all the birds. Now remember, the birds were made from the waters. The birds and the fish were all made from the waters. So Yahweh brought all of these creatures that he made and did what?
And brought them unto Adam.
He brought them unto Adam. Go ahead.
To see what he would call them.
To see what Adam was going to call all these creatures. Right? It says La Ra'af Ma Yakwara Lawa. What Adam was going to call them. Okay. Kwara Lawa. What's he going to call it or call these creatures? So Adam named every creature we have today. Some of those names we still have, like Alap for the cattle, okay, or for the cow, or like Gamal for the camel, Gamal, the G and the C and the A, and the M and the EL and the AL. That's all the same. So that word's kind of stayed the same over the years. Okay. So the bird is I wap, and you have what's that? Tzapora, right? For Zipporah, that means bird also. So Yahweh brought all these creatures that he created unto Adam. Go ahead.
And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
Now we had all of these names chronicled at the library at Jerusalem. The name of all of these creatures, all of these birds, and all of these beasts. Adam gave the names of all these creatures, and Adam taught these names to his sons. And they taught them to their sons. And they taught them to their sons. And it went all the way down. So the Greeks, the Romans, under Greek and Latin, even going into the ancient Dravidian, Indo-European languages dealing with Sanskrit. A lot of these languages and names are based upon what they inherited knowledge-wise from their great ancestor, which is Adam. Now, these things, which was a black man, by the way. So Adam did these things, but these things that he's doing are supposed to be for the benefit of all of Adam's children, which is all the people that live on the earth today, all of Adam's children. Okay, so the family home that we have, which is called Eretz or Aratzah or earth, which are all synonyms of each other. These are all etymological synonyms. The etymology of earth is Eretz. The etymology of Eretz is Aratzah or Aratzah. So these places and these creatures and these names and these rivers that we have are supposed to be for the benefit of the human beings. But what happened is that the human beings rebelled against Yahweh in a major way. The Nimrod, the children of Yasharallah was supposed to put everything, back in order. We're supposed to be a kingdom of, a nation of kings and priests. We're supposed to be a kingdom of priests, but we messed up. So we dropped the ball, and the other nations fell off into more and more deeper idolatry. But the earth was created for us to rule and to be the gods of the earth. And the other nations were supposed to be under us in righteousness, following the laws that the Most High gave to Adam, gave to Noah, and gave to our father Abraham, Abraham, and then what he gave to Moses. All right. So that verse is the last verse of this particular Aliyah. So the Most High made these animals and he made the birds, then he brought them unto Adam. That's showing you the level. Adam had to be able to master the pictographs, what they meant, and had to put the vibration of those 22 letters onto those creatures. So when he said alap, okay, he said, okay, this is a head, a hook, and a mouth. Okay, that's what he said. I'm gonna call this animal head, hook, and mouth, or head and staff and mouth. Alap. The camel, he said, I'm gonna call this animal. I'm gonna call this animal great door, and no, I'm gonna call this animal um, great water, and the same thing, the stick or the gold, okay, or the staff. Okay, that's what I say. So Adam had to be on a high spiritual and intellectual level to name all the creatures and all the birds. So the Most High made everything come to Adam. And then he said, okay, I'm gonna call you this, call you this. So he had to have knowledge, and he had to have like an impeccable memory, and he had to have a systematic process of how he's going to determine what animals he's going to call what. So Adam was not just walking around, just stupid. Adam was had a super brain, so you can understand. Man's intellect has actually gone lower as time has gone forward. Why? How do we know that? That's why he has to create all types of computers now, all types of machines and devices, because he thinks he's doing it because he's smarter, but he's doing it because his brain is actually getting lazier. And it's a few people who are trying to think of ways on how to make our lazy brains um, um, not have to work so hard. I'll give you an example. 20 years before cell phones, I should say, you knew everybody's number in your brain. Whose phone number is this? Whose phone number is that? And you could pick up the phone and just dial their phone number. Your memory was a lot sharper. But now you got to go into your phone and you got to remember, okay, who's the person's name? Who's the person I want to call? And then you got to look it up in your phone. And then you press that person's name, and then it calls that person. You see? It calls that person for you, so you don't have to remember the phone number anymore. So even though you got this great technology in your hand, our brains are a lot lazier now. All right, our brains are a lot lazier. So now we don't use the capacity in our brains like we used to, and then everything is pre-programmed. When you play a game or something, you got to go a certain way. You can't go outside of that. As opposed to when you're playing hide and go seek as a child, you can hide anywhere you want to. When you go into a game, you can't go outside that game. You got to stay within the boundaries of what they've given you. Okay, as opposed to when you're playing, race cars, or you're having a dirt ball fight, or you're playing army, or you're playing submarine, okay, or you're playing hide and go seek. You see, your expansion of what you're doing is limitless. But now these high technology games that we have now, they actually are very limited. They actually limit you to what you can do. All right. Imagine, you playing this game and then you got to etch a sketch. Okay. Imagine you have to create everything that you're playing with. You have to think about what you're actually going to be doing, how it works, and have these things, so that kind of cultivates your creativity. So the time of Adam, they didn't have any of these technological gadgets that we have now. They had instruments to read the position of the stars and the shadow of the planets being cast, onto the sun or onto other planets, the position of the celestial bodies, the duration of revolutions and rotations of celestial bodies, the time spans of different creatures, the natural movements of nature, the movement of nature and the birth of creatures and the reproduction of creatures as it relates to the seasons, as it relates to temperature. So they kept records of all of these things. And they knew all of these things. But now just Google, and it comes right up. So you don't have to remember anything anymore. Okay, there was a time when you taught the Bible, you quoted the scripture that you were saying. You didn't have to go flip forward and find it on your phone and then somebody read it for you. Okay, you memorize these scripts. A lot of scripts were memorized, in your head. You see what I'm saying? So the intellect is gone now. So when the Most High brought these creatures to Adam, Adam said, "Man, you're going to be this. You're going to be that. You're going to be this." And we don't really have any records of these things readily available at our fingertips now. They're still out there. Because remember, we had a tremendous library, a tremendous depository of books at Jerusalem. Josephus talks about it. Flavius Josephus, who wrote the book, all his works are contained in something called the Works of Josephus. You can get the complete works of Josephus. He was an Israelite from the tribe of Levi, which would be the modern Haitians today. And he was a priest and he was a general, and he fought against the Romans, and they had mercy on him. And then when they had mercy on him, they commissioned him, to do different things for them. But he wrote the chronicles of our history as he saw it. Now, everything he says isn't the gospel truth. It isn't the Bible, anything of that nature. It's just him showing you things that he knows, and also him showing you things that that were passed down to him, So with that being said, that's pretty much it for this week. We see this woman. This woman was created. The Most High, the Most High is saying, I'm going to create this woman. He don't create her yet. You don't create the woman yet. First, you want to make sure all the work is done. And then tomorrow we're going to go into the process of marriage as it pertains to the son with his mother and father. So we're going to show that what the Bible says about that tomorrow when we go into the Torah portion. So make sure you tune in for that. Torah is very fun. I love to read and research and study the Torah because it gives you a foundation of what's what, all right? And it gives you how we need to do things, even into this time period now. All right, so trying to stretch it out. I guess I'm kind of stalling a little bit because I hate to end it. The beasts of the field, he brought to Adam, and Adam gave the name, or whatever he named them. That's the name that remained on that particular creature. So once again, Adam was a genius. Adam was like a mental, spiritual giant and genius that controlled the whole of the Most High's creation. Put it like that. He was like a super king. Everything was under him. Creatures would come to him. He was on like a primordial Solomon, if you will. Right? He knew everything. All right. So with that, we're gonna say Shalom. Thanks for joining us. We'll pick up tomorrow from Genesis chapter 2, verse 20. All right, so you say Shema Yasharala Yahweh Alahaina Yahweh Akkad wa Ahabta Af Yahweh Alahayaka Bakal Lababka wa Bakal Napashka wa Bakal Ma'atka, which is, Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one, and you shall love Yahweh your power with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. All right, so now there's a lot of accountings of what happened in creation throughout the different ethnicities across the planet. All right, and some of the ones that link up with the American Indians, the natives of the Americas, are actually kind of parallel what we read in Genesis also. So so thank you all for joining us. May the Most High Yahweh be with you in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Stay in Torah, stay with HaMashiach, walk in his path, don't get off of it. All right? All your doctrines have to conform with the Torah. If it doesn't conform with the Torah, you need to go back to the drawing board and try to figure it out, or just fast and pray and ask the Most High to show it to you. All right, Shalom Nakam.